The legendary rock and blues guitarist Eric Clapton, widely regarded as one of the greatest musicians of all time. Part of the credit has also gone to Jim Gordon and, more contentiously, to his girlfriend Rita Coolidge. The lyrics of Layla depict a lover in a state of desperation, but the song is more than the sum of its parts. Because the most moving music is crafted from the depths of one's soul, this tragic and painful story becomes more authentic and approachable. Its unfiltered portrayal of love-related suffering was one of Layla's most striking aspects. Lyrics, vocals, musical notes, and composition all served to reaffirm this theme. All the yearning that could be contained in a forbidden romance was discussed in it, particularly in cases where the individual in issue is cognizant of the moral gravity of their conduct, yet unable to intervene. It stood out from the many brief and frantic songs of the day because the yearning was palpable throughout its entire 7 minutes. Layla was named 1970's Best Song and made it onto multiple lists, including Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, where it was ranked at number 30. In addition to being inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1988, the song won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Song in 1993. Additionally, it has been hailed as the most iconic rock love song ever. How much did the song's themes differ from reality, though? What sinister truths were concealed that caused anguish and yearning? From what you can tell, Layla has a troubled past that is more severe and disturbing than you might imagine. In the late 60s, when Clapton met and befriended English musician and Beatles superstar George Harrison, Layla was born. The two hit it off on a professional level and started recording and producing music together shortly after. Clapton became close friends with Harrison and his wife in Surrey and would often stay there as a guest. Although their friendship was blossoming, Clapton's motives were far more nefarious and suspicious. Harrison had no idea that he was developing feelings for Pattie Boyd, Harrison's friend and a model and photographer. The distance between Boyd and Harrison, who had fallen in love and frequently corresponded via letters while he was away, had been increasing due to the frequent tours that the Beatles had to endure. So, when Clapton showed up with his letters, it was bound to take Boyd by surprise and make him feel appreciated. In 1970, when Clapton's intense feelings drove him insane and he could no longer pretend to keep a secret, he wrote a love confession to Boyd. This letter was the first of its kind. Boyd thought the neat, tidy, and angular letter was from a fan at first glance because of its carefully worded but ultimately heartbreaking desire. We both know this subject, and I am writing to you to find out how you feel about it. That was the first simple statement in the letter. This development proved that Boyd and Clayton had known each other was developing feelings for the other, even though they hadn't said anything about it before. After a more subdued introduction, Clapton became more outspoken about his feelings, asking Boyd directly if she loved her husband despite his admission that his questions were extremely intrusive. Nevertheless, he no longer concealed his true intentions. He boldly declared that she should inform him through letters, as it was the safer option if she still felt anything for him. He continued to call Boyd later to verify that the letter was indeed his and not someone else's, despite the fact that it was clear he was mistaken and that their love was forbidden. Boyd felt a mixture of flattery and love at first sight. In response to her encouraging words, Clapton quickly gave her the nickname Layla, which would serve as the basis for a song he composed later on. They tried their best, which was not very good, to hide their affair because of how severely society frowned upon infidelity and cheating was. As evidence of his literary bent, he continued to write her letters, one of which was written months later on a page torn from a copy of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. Here he asked if her reluctance to be with him was due to his lack of sexual prowess, weakness, or physical attractiveness, and then he made a bold declaration that she could have him and all his love, since his desire had been causing him immense suffering. He continued by pleading with her to free him from her spell if she did not desire him. His passionate seduction and her deteriorating marriage won her over, even though she had been rejecting him at first. Harrison seemed touched by Clapton's love for him. After their divorce, he gave the go-ahead to marry Boyd, even went to the wedding and referred to Clapton as his husband-in-law. Around the same time, Clapton's friend Ian Dallas, who was contemplating becoming an Islam, gave him a copy of the tale of Layla and Majnun, written by the Persian poet Nizami Ganjavi in the 12th century. He was deeply affected by the story because he could relate to it. The story revolved around a man whose insanity was brought on by his intense feelings for a stunning young woman named Layla. Despite his intense feelings, he was willing to do anything for her. She had already been married, against her will, to someone else, so he couldn't marry her. Sadly, Layla died and Majnun, her lover, was discovered dead close to her cave, where he had carved poetry into a rock. In the song, Clapton made direct reference to Boyd's singing of "Please don't say we'll never find a way, and tell me all my love's in vain," expressing his love for Boyd and his admiration of the story. Despite her gratitude, Boyd was anxious that her husband wouldn't get the significance of the song or its intended recipient. Thankfully, he was understanding and supportive. But Boyd and Clapton's tale did not end happily either. Things did turn gloomy. Despite his best attempts to win Boyd's heart and marry her, Clapton's affection for her was ultimately unrequited and insincere. Substance abuse exacerbated his irritability and violent tendencies, which he had previously experienced. While married to Boyd, Clapton admitted to raping her and committing serious acts of domestic violence in an interview with the Sunday Times in 1999. He described himself as an alcoholic who felt entitled to sexual relations with Boyd. Furthermore, their marital tensions increased as they were unable to conceive a child despite extensive attempts, including in vitro fertilization. It didn't take long for Clapton to start having extramarital affairs with younger women and fathering children outside of his marriage to Boyd. After 10 years of marriage, Boyd finally had enough of Clapton's antics and filed for a divorce in 1989. The final straw was when Clapton confessed to having an affair with Italian model Lori Del Santo, a revelation that broke Boyd's heart. Not for reasons anyone could relate to. It seemed like Clapton had lost his mind. It turns out that Jim Gordon, who was also involved in producing Layla with Clapton, had a troubled past that had something to do with the song as well. Clapton said that Gordon approached him with a piano piece he had composed on his own and was very proud of, and that Clapton had agreed to use it for Layla right away because of how well it was written. But Gordon was accused of stealing the piano parts for the song from his young and talented girlfriend Rita Coolidge, a plagiarist. The song was originally recorded by Coolidge's sister and was named Time, but Gordon stole it and put it in Layla, taking all the credit for himself, according to Bobby Whitlock, the Domino's keyboardist, and Derek. Gordon was able to retain ownership of the rights since these claims were never proven. It seemed that when compared to the lives of its two performers, the love song that had been widely hailed as a classic had nothing to do with love. The portrayal of love in Layla has been profound, and this is something that has been both praised and panned. Great food for thought, but also somewhat ironic, to discuss how far one will go for love while ignoring the terrible reality that anything can be anything. Regarding Layla and its potential meanings, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the space provided.